called Shelf Life that I wrote a long time ago. And at the time I was imagining that I was in a snow globe and I was feeling sort of trapped. And then COVID came along and I started feeling like there's a reference to bubbles in this song. And suddenly we all had a bubble that was slightly bigger than just one person. And now I really think about the bubble as the earth that we're on. We're on this bubble. So, shelf life. Here I am for all to see. I'm sitting on my own, out of trouble. I would love some company, even though I'll stay alone in my bubble. I can't see you well at all. Distorted imagery is all that comes through. If I fear to take a fall, I will never leave my shelf, and I need to turn my world upside down to bring about the snow. Watch it fall back to the ground. There's nowhere else to go. This is the beginning. I feel the tiny start of cracks in the ceiling as my world falls apart, and I am depending on everybody else to help with extending that first foot off the shelf to end the shelf life. Don't know what tomorrow brings, so it's hard to find a way to make it better. Beneath this pile of truthful things lies another lonely day, but we're all in this together. Turn my world upside down to bring about the snow. For a moment, there's the ground supporting me to know this is the beginning. I feel the tiny start of cracks in the ceiling as my whole world falls apart, and I am depending on everybody else to help with an ending other than sitting on a shelf. Let's end the shelf life. Thank you so much.
Jesse,
Yes.
you can go go ahead, Joseph.
I'll wait for you.
You did pretty well
Okay, good.
at
Room for
receiving.
improvement.
At receiving. At receiving. We talk a lot about receiving here. May we please show Jesse our everyday thank you.
That's good. I'm glad you did that. Receiving is a challenging thing to do.
I know it.
Yeah,
I talk about it all the time.
I'm glad. I appreciate you for it.
I appreciate you. And we appreciate your beautiful skill and voice and music and all of it.
Thank you.
Words,
Okay.
look good. I think so. Are you happy?
Yep, happy.
Okay, everybody's happy. Good. Well, good morning, every day.
Good morning.
And I personally want to acknowledge every single face I see in this room and the body that's attached to it that made the journey this morning, because it was a little iffy out there. And it wasn't iffy enough to not do service in person, but it was still, it took care and it took leaving at a certain time and, all those things. And I'm very relieved not to see Joseph's bicycle sitting out there because he does use his bike way beyond my understanding in terms of weather. But anyway, we're all here, we're all safe, and those who are at home are all where you are, and you're all safe and warm, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our service, because what I always want you to know is that without you, this service is not what it is. A lot of people in other places of faith and worship and tradition think it's all about the minister or the pastor or whoever the person is that shows up and gives the talk. And we're just a piece. Without everyone's energy, without everyone's engagement, without everyone's hugs, without everyone, it isn't the same. So we're carrying on today with our conversation about the first 4 segments. They aren't really chapters of the book, The Science of Mind, which is the book on which our philosophy is based. And what I'm speaking about today is what it is and what it isn't. And the it that I am speaking of is the one life that is all life. The one life that is the mastermind, if you will, although it's way more than a mind, behind everything that we see, everything that exists, everything that has ever existed, everything that will ever exist, and that includes us, which seems to be our most challenging thing to wrap our minds around. Because we can believe it about a tree, and we can believe it about an orchid, and we can believe it about our beautiful mountains, our majestic mountains, and we can believe it about the ocean. and we can believe it about Misty, our four-legged greeter. But somehow, wrapping our minds around the fact that that life lives through us and by means of us and expresses as us, boy, that's a toughie. Now, isn't that interesting? Because we'll say to each other, especially since we're all engaged in this philosophy together, we'll say to each other, oh yeah, you know, I mean, there's a place at which at the end of one of the versions of Four Directions, we turn and we look at each other, we face each other very intentionally, and we are seeing the eyes of God looking back at us, seeing God. Now, are those just empty words? They don't feel empty when we do it, do they? No. They feel very real when we do it. But then, son of a gun, if something doesn't happen. And I don't know exactly when it happens. I think it happens at a different time for everybody. But somewhere between that moment and the moment when we forget, which could be later in the day or anytime, we forget. We forget that we are the arms and legs of that life. We are the voice of that life as us. Not generally, not like some kind of stew where it all comes together so that it tastes like one thing. No, we're all different for a reason. We're all unique for a reason. We all have our unique ways of seeing things and being and believing for a reason. Even Baskin Robbins thinks that one flavor is boring. It's boring. Besides which, part of that life living through us means that our choices are our unique choices, and our unique reasons for making those choices are also unique to that life. Let me say that again. Our choices, our unique choices, the choices that have made our life what it is today, which looks like all of us being in this room and being willing to be new. Welcome every day. We are, as our unique selves, are making those choices. Now, if we look back at the choices we've made up till now, wow. Well, first of all, we could be here all day, at least. And some of those choices may be more interesting than others and more or less informed than others, let's just say. So what? If spirit had a personality, spirit, God, the universe, higher power, Yahweh, Great Father, if spirit had a personality, which it does not. Okay, now we're getting to the isn't part. What it isn't. But if it had a personality, it might say, because of course we may have grown up in a faith tradition or with a family that believed that spirit had a personality and was pleased or punishing depending on the circumstance. That doesn't happen either. Might choose for us to be allowed, one of my father's favorite words, allowed to have something or to not have something, depending on if we'd earned it, because it wasn't his will, it was God's will. I'm shaking my head because you don't realize, Jesse, how perfect your song is for today, because all of these ideas, all of this misinformation has reached its shelf life. And it's time for it to go. It's time for it to go. So I'll talk a little more about what it isn't, and then I'll get to what it is. Besides, and believe me, I have not left talking about that life being our life and living through us and as us now. Don't worry. I'm far from done. So, it doesn't have a personality. Now, no disrespect intended for those teachings that teaches that it has a personality, because it's easier for us to understand something we don't understand if we make it like us. That's a human thing, right? Yeah. It's a human thing. And for it to not have a personality, and for it to not make choices for us, and for it to not be something that we have to please or worry about displeasing, wow, what do we do with that? What if this one life, what if its nature, because it does have a nature, you know, and its nature is the heart of all things, which is love. Its nature is love. Its nature is provision. Its nature is generosity. And do you know how I know that? I know that because its love and its generosity and its provision is for itself. Since everything is itself and there is no separation, it denies itself nothing. And our job is to enjoy it. Really? Our job is to enjoy it and feel gratitude. Not because we owe something somewhere, our gratitude, but because it makes us feel good. Gratitude makes us feel good. Gratitude expands our hearts to be something beyond the physical. Huh. I think that most of you have received the newsletter that I sent out yesterday or the day before. And if you haven't, I'd like for you to just make a silent promise to me that you will read what I wrote below my posting of the talk from last week. Exactly. Because these are new ideas. And they were new ideas when they began. And actually, we don't know for sure when they began because they began before written history. And they are ideas that have been carried orally, and once we were writing thoughts and sharing thoughts in that way, they've been carried throughout time, but they're timeless. There is nothing in the way of our good. For this life that has this incredible nature of creating and the activity of creating and being the creation itself and expressing through that creation and revealing itself through that creation and having just the best time you can imagine plus 10 bazillion doing it. That is the truth of the world we live in. I heard you. I heard the brakes go on. But wait. Those brakes are saying, but wait. What this world we live in is a mess. Well, let me just say this about that. The world that we live in the human experience, may be confused, may be angry, may be disjointed, may be totally separate and somebody having to win and somebody having to lose and all of those things in the human experience. But what goes on beyond the scene?
That's up to us.
Right. That's up to us. What goes on beyond the, there are at least 2 or 3 wars I can think of right now that are going on. And all of them, it doesn't matter how many, all of them are about old ideas,
Yep.
old disagreements, old entitlements. Okay, so my last point about what it isn't, my last point for today about what it isn't. This life, this amazing life that is ours to live as we choose, does not interfere. Because only a personality would do that. A personality would make a choice. A personality would have a preference. A personality would see one side is right and the other side is wrong. A personality would say, oh, well, I have to do something. I have to do something to prevent all of these children from being murdered, regardless of which side is murdering them. I have to do something. But you know what? We can't have a life that is all life, that is unconditionally loving and providing and guiding and free will.
Yeah.
We can't have both. We can't have it both ways. So if on occasion we would rather have a divine being, a higher power, a God that would interfere, the reason that is so frustrating is because we don't realize that means we have to give up free will. And then do you know what happens? We're like Stepford wives. That's what happens. So let me go back to this life living through and by means of us, expressing through and by means of us. Let's say that this is a brand new idea. And you know what? To some of us, no matter how many times we hear it, it's a brand new idea. Because it's the most challenging to link up to. It's the most challenging to align with. I understand that. I'm not saying abracadabra, it should be easy. What I am saying is that it is worth feeling into. It's worth realizing that the words we say, the expression in our eyes as we look into someone else's, the kindness that we show, equally to friend or stranger, the work that we do on our ideas of other, that's all divine work. That's using our resources and allowing the life that is our life, that expresses through us, that reveals itself through us, to have a place to do it. Every time we extend a kindness, Laurel brought a brand new blanket for Misty today, and of course, she parked there immediately. She came to check with me and make sure it was hers, and there she is. You know, animals don't have this issue. They know. They know what their deal is. They know what they're here for. They know who their friends are. They know who the other relations in life are that support their being here, whether they're related or not. Animals do not have this issue. We have a friend who lives in Colorado Springs who's attended a couple of services here, and she had this extraordinary cat named Basil. And Basil was a therapy cat, a licensed therapy cat. And she would take her to hospitals and be on call for emergency response, part of first responders teams, and so on. Basil and her owner Tina. And Tina has a website for Basil that's called Be Like Basil. And the consciousness of that is the generosity of spirit that animals have. We can all find our own way of exercising those muscles, both toward ourselves No, we're not last on the list. We're first. We may have been raised to think that we were last on the list or shouldn't even be on the list. But without being first on the list, we have nothing to give. We have nothing to give. So here we are, first on the list. Just experiment. Just lean into it a little bit. Won't hurt anything. Nobody will get mad. And even though we may have been raised to believe otherwise, there is no such thing as religion. In the beyond substance, beyond material world, there is no such thing as religion. There are only ideas. There are only ideas. Which is why discovering what we believe individually, because you'll notice I never say to any of you, individually or collectively, this is how it is, and you have to do this. You have to live this way. You have to operate this way. You have to be afraid. Very afraid. No. I tell you what I believe. I tell you what history has proven. I tell you about the golden thread of truth that has gone through all of the great teachings from anywhere at any time. That's not my discovery. That's Ernest Holmes' discovery. And I'm sure he's not the only one. But he was the first one to talk about it and to write it down. We need to find our own truth within ourselves. And that is part of discovering how this life wants to express as us, as the unique, precious, glorious, fabulous, beautiful us we are. Next week, we're going to talk about what it does and what it doesn't, which I sort of talked about that a little bit today. What we're doing over these 4 weeks is we're exploring a new way of relating with whatever you want to call it, God, Spirit, the universe, divine, higher power, Harold, the force, be with you, and also with you. Whatever we want to call it, because the naming business is also a human thing. So that's why it doesn't matter. And I know for sure that it's written in more than one place that there are more than 1,000 names for God. And we've made them all up. And that's all great. That's all good. Whatever it is that will give us more of a sense of this presence that lives with us, around us, through us, as us, whatever it is that will help us lean into that and get more comfy with that, the better. So I invite you into an experiment this week of just seeing how comfy you can get. What if? Just keep asking yourself the question, what if? What if there is no separation between my being and all there is? What if? What if I actually have all of that wisdom, all of that clarity, all of that conviction, all of that generosity, all of that love, all of that kindness to be and use? What if? What if there is a place in me that has always been unconditionally loved? Not just a place, but the me of me, the I of I, that has always been unconditionally loved. Not as someone across the room, but as one. What if? That's your homework. What if? And so it is.
Good one.
It's not a question of what if, from my perspective, it is. I'm going to play a song that was inspired by the Kerrville Folk Festival. And I made many friends there, one of which was a songwriter who really bared all of themselves when they were performing, when they were singing. It was all pure expression. And I learned this morning that they've passed on. So yeah, this is to honor Joey. This is called Ride a Love Song, because a surfer can ride a wave, and any of us can ride a love song. The rain is coming down outside the sky-high shack. I've got a flat tire and many miles to go. I'm leaving Kerrville soon, but I know I'm coming back to the melodies between the new and old Mexico. Watch the crow's nest as the world is black and white. The moon is blinding and the fire is getting low. I have one request for you, if that's alright, as we synchronize to all the things we know. If you wanna write a love song for me, I would like it. If you wanna write a love song for me, I would like it. If you wanna write a love song for me. Rainstorms come and go. Hold your loved ones close. Waters ebb and flow, and this is all I know. Moving forward with inertia in my heart, as I graze this quiet valley that I roam. Armadillos dance with crickets in the Texas dark, to the sound of many voices raised in song. Welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. If you wanna write a love song for me, I would like it. If you wanna write a love song for me, I would like it. If you wanna write a love song for me, I would like it. If you wanna write a love song for me. And thank you to Joey, who has redistributed their energies amongst all of us and everything that exists now.
All right. Thank you.
Laurel, you want to help me with this? You want to get on my
Oh,
shoulders?
oh.